So we zeroed in on two varietals, Y Cabernet and Zinfandel. Cabernet is the flagship wine of Napa County, Napa Cab, and Zinfandel is, you know, the flagship wine of Sonoma, perhaps. So we're going to narrow in the varietal, and then we're going to measure quality by using Wine Spectator rankings. Are rankings an accurate measure of quality? And again, I'm sure you guys have your own opinion of this. Let's see, Hodgson. Analysis of over 4,000 wines entered in 13 U.S. wine competitions showed that for wines entered in more than one competition, the probability of winning a gold medal is a completely random occurrence. This is an awesome paper, and I don't say that about very many non-me papers, but this is an awesome paper. He basically says that, look, if you enter your wine in enough competitions, you're going to win. It's a completely random occurrence. And one of the ways he tested it is you would think that, okay, I've got a good, you know, let's say you win the gold medal at a wine competition. So you would think that that's a good wine, right? Won a gold medal. So if it's a good wine, you think if you took it to another wine competition, then it should do well again. Reasonable? Yeah. What he found was winning a gold medal at one competition didn't increase the probability of winning the one at any other competition. It's completely independent.
Is that because there's like different judges?
Yeah, there's different judges, but you'd think a good quality wine would be a good quality wine irrespective of the judges.
Isn't there different taste preferences?
Yeah, yeah.
So like it wouldn't, I would assume that wouldn't make that exactly.
I would think that a good wine should be a good wine. It should travel well. But we'll actually address your issue. This was the same guy who did another paper, and this one is even better. This one is even more hilarious. So judges at wine competitions were given triplicate samples of the same wine from the same bottle in the same flight. Right? You get a flight of wines, which means you get like five wines. They're blind. 5 glasses of wine, and 3 of them were the exact same wine from the same bottle. So it's not like you can say, oh well, that bottle, you know, one came from a different bottle. 3 of the 5 wines were the exact same wine, and they scored them wildly differently. It's awesome, which goes to his point about wine judges. Wine judges can't even score the same wine in the same flight similarly. Now, I'm not saying I could. I can't. I know I can't. Like I told you before, if you put a Cab and a Merlot and a Pinot, I couldn't tell which is which. I'll drink all 3 of them and more, but I'm not any kind of a wine expert at all. But those that say they're wine experts couldn't even rate the same wine from the same bottle equivalently. That to me is hilarious. It's just tells you something about wine judges. By the way, Hodgson did another one on caviar. Taste testing caviar. And this was funny too. This was published in the Journal of Wine Economics. Because he wanted to see, well, you know, is it just wine judges or is it other kinds of judges? So he did an experiment at a caviar tasting competition, and apparently that exists. And one of the things he put in the competition was cat food. Yeah. And the judges actually rated it. They couldn't tell the difference between caviar and cat food. No, it's in a peer-reviewed published journal, the Journal of Wine Economics. What's that?
Look remotely close to each other. I've never seen cat food that looks like caviar.
Is it what is it cat? What is the thing I'm thinking of?
Quinoa?
It's what?
No, quinoa.
I thought it was caviar and cat food. We'll look it up. We'll Google it.
I've never seen cat food that looks like caviar.
Well, it's supposed to be blind tasted, so maybe they were blinded. Maybe they were blindfolded. So now you got me It looks online, right?
How do you spell caviar?
Look for, taste,
Get out more.
taste test, yeah, taste test with cat food. Cat food versus, I thought it was cat food versus caviar. It was kind of that alliteration.
This has got to be slightly out of context though, because where are these judges from and what are their actual positions?
These were the main wine competitions. So San Francisco Chronicle holds one, Sonoma County.
I mean, is it like no shit someone years and winemakers, or are they just somebody who says, oh, I know one?
Well, no, to be a wine judge, you have to be qualified. I'm sure there's a qualification for being a wine judge.
I've worked for the San Francisco Chronicle. So wine competitions are made up of a panel, usually 5, 6 different professionals in the industry, and they try to get a mix. Maybe one might be a chef, one's a winemaker, one's a writer for a newspaper, one is usually a buyer in a large market, and then they judge it together. I think the thing is, after tasting 120 wines,
Yeah.
your palate is so shot, it's stupid.
Yeah, I'm sure this is a really good paper if you're interested to read it. But what point is it early in the competition? Is it late in the competition? And they randomize it. They make sure that there's a nice cross section of when exactly you said it's not. It wasn't always the last flight of the last day. After you've been tasting wine for 8 hours and 3 days in a row. So, anyone find the article? Cat food and caviar. I'll find it. But this just tells us about whether we're trying to answer a question. Are rankings an accurate measure of quality? These guys actually said judges were relatively consistent in judging red wines more so than white wines. You shouldn't be drinking white wine anyways, unless you're in high school. Right? White wine vanilla. Is this a problem? Remember, the whole premise of my paper is we need to control for quality. And if rankings aren't an accurate measure of quality, is this a problem for my paper? No. Why not? It doesn't matter if rankings are an accurate measure of quality. What matters is what?
People believe in it and buy it.
That people think it is. That consumers view ratings as an accurate measure of quality. Right? Steve Jobs can say how great the iPhone is. And maybe it does win competitions, maybe it doesn't. As long as people think it's the best phone, that's all that matters. Right? As long as people think that a pet rock, a rock in a box, is something valuable, then it is valuable. It's still a rock in a box. It has no intrinsic value to it other than maybe throwing it at somebody. But all that matters is people view it. So how do we measure if people view it? We run a regression. Oh, this is more background. Do consumers use ratings as a signal of quality? Anyone know Tasha Nelson?
Yeah, I think cost.
Which one?
And global wine business.
No, which author?
Oh, Liz.
Liz? Yeah. Liz doesn't like this paper. You'll see why in about a second. So Tasha Nelson surveyed retail consumers, and whether they ranked a medal was 6 out of 7 factors. Atkinson and Johnson, again, anyone have Tom Atkins? And Ray Johnson. In a survey of U.S. consumers, respondents ranked whether wine medal 7 out of 10 factors, 7th out of 10 factors. So it doesn't look like people really put a whole lot of weight in medals. In a survey of Czech retail consumers, whether a wine won a medal was weighted as important as price. So again, it doesn't look like ratings or medals really factor into whether or not, into people's purchasing behavior. What's common about all these? There's surveys. What is wrong with surveys? Not that people lie. There's all kinds of things. People do lie.
They're not random, like you're targeting a certain.
Exactly. So I'm Liz Tosh, and Liz Tosh, I think, is a wine judge. I think she can do, she knows her wine, and so does Janine. So I'm Liz Tosh. I'm gonna survey people on whether or not they, how much they weight these things, these factors in their decision to buy. So who do I survey? Who do I, Liz Tosh, survey? People I know, probably, right? I send out this survey, and so if I'm Liz Tosh and I'm a wine expert, who do you think my friends are? Probably similar wine experts.
In theory, isn't qualitative research supposed to be random?
Yeah, exactly. It's called selection bias. So, let's put it in this context. If I'm a wine expert, or if I think I'm a wine expert, if I think I know a lot about wine, and you ask me whether I rely on someone else's opinion, what do I say? Why? Because I'm an expert. Why would I care what Robert Parker thinks? Why would I care about Ameta when I know more about wine than these bozos? All right, that's kind of the opinion the reaction you can expect. So yeah, if you ask a non-random sample of people how much weight they put in medals and rankings, then you're probably going to get what's called biased result. There's a difference between what people say and what people do. I rely on what people do. I never rely on what people say. The only time I rely on what people say is so that I can disprove it with what they do. And I love doing that. Here's a situation, if you were to read these papers, peer-reviewed journals, you would think that people don't put too much weight in these factors when they buy a bottle of wine. But if you look at what they actually do, maybe we'll get a different result. So let's examine actual consumer behavior. Once again, we got Nielsen Scantrack data. And this was the hard part. I merged it with Wine Spectator rankings. I merged that data with Wine Spectator rankings. And this is where Mariana, the little Italian